So I want to thank all of you for being here today. My name is Mandy Seeteller, and I'm the current Community Engagement Representative for the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and I'm the Alaska Child Passenger Safety Statewide CPS Coordinator. It's my honor to serve as the MC for today's CPS Coordinators Forum. Please remember to take a quick minute and put your name and where you're from in the chat bar. We want to know who's joining us today. We will have questions and answers at the end of this session, so please make sure you put those in the chat bar. We'll be keeping track as we go. A quick reminder that attendees are requested to not participate in this forum if you're operating a motor vehicle. This presentation will be recorded and you can listen to the recording when you arrive safely at your destination. We generally get it posted within about 24 to 48 hours. So welcome to today's CPS TED Talk webinar, Technician Education and Development. We have 7 speakers for you today. It is going to fly by. They are going to share some CPS hot topics that can assist you today for your various CPS programming needs and technician development needs. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the bios for all of our speakers because we're going to have a quick transition between each of them. But they'll each speak for 5 to 7 minutes or so. So we're going to cover a lot of ground today. We're going to kick off with Denise Donaldson. She's the owner of Safe Ride News Publications, which publishes educational materials for the child passenger safety field, including the Safe Ride newsletter and the Latch Manual and the School Bus Safety Handbook. In 1996, she founded a program that provides checkup events and community classes through Seattle area hospitals, which she continues to run to this day. She has been an instructor since 1998, woohoo, and is a current member of the National Child Passenger Safety Board, serving as a child passenger safety advocate, although she is not representing the board in her presentation today. Jim Savage has 30 years of experience in the field of injury prevention, having worked for a police department, a national nonprofit, state transportation department, and 2 regional children's hospitals. He is a certified child passenger safety instructor and an instructor for transporting children with special healthcare needs curriculum. Jim currently serves as the vice chair of the National Child Passenger Safety Board and co-president of Kids in Motion Training. Jim has served as the Wisconsin Child Passenger Safety Advisory Board since 2008. Tammy Franks is a National Safety Council subject matter expert on causes of preventable death at home, in communities, and on the road. Her current responsibilities include creating transportation-related curricula to help educate injury prevention professionals and the public at large. She currently serves on the National Child Passenger Safety Board as the National Safety Council curriculum representative. Laura Dunn serves as the subject matter expert in the child passenger safety and pediatric vehicular heat stroke in NHTSA's Office of Impaired Driving and Occupant Protection. Her role is to develop CPS programming at the national level in collaboration with government and nonprofit agencies that share an interest in injury prevention, as well as manage agreements for the National CPS Board and the Child Passenger Safety Certification and Training Program. Daniella Brown with UPPAbaby, having worked in the juvenile products industry since 2007, specifically in the car seat industry, Daniella brings her seasoned experience of the manufacturing and development process to the board, CPS board, as a child seat manufacturer representative. Prior to working in the juvenile industry, she was a vehicle seat engineer for more than 8 years at the Lear Corporation, working on projects for Ford and Mazda. She has an in-depth understanding of vehicle dynamics in a crash condition and how the body reacts in crash situations. Stephanie Heitsch is the Certification Associate at Safe Kids Worldwide, and with more than 20 years of injury prevention experience and as a longtime CPS technician instructor, she brings a wealth of knowledge to the Safe Kids Worldwide team. Among her many responsibilities, Stephanie leads efforts to provide new technical information to CPS technicians through local updates, webinars, and other outreach. Stephanie started her career with Safe Kids in 2002, and as the state coordinator for Wyoming, keeping children safe is my passion, and I know we can all have a positive impact and make a difference every day in the lives of children. Janna Day is going to wrap up our hour this morning. She's an instructor and the Iowa Child Passenger Safety Coordinator. She is based at Blank Children's Hospitals in Des Moines, Iowa, where she has worked in injury prevention for 14 years. Thank all of our speakers so much for coming today. I'm so glad you're here, and we are going to kick it off with Denise.
Okay, thank you, Mandy, and hi to everybody. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to encourage anyone who's planning a conference for CPSTs to make time in the schedule for discussing the National Digital Check Form. This digital revolution that we're going through right now is an important transition for the field and one that's bound to take a bit of training. So I know in this coordinators forum, you've all had the opportunity in the past to hear from the NDCF team various times. So you should all be pretty familiar with the progress that's been made with this digital check form, the form itself, the awesome data dashboard that they've introduced, and the table tool that goes with it. The NDCF team is a great collaboration between people who work for the National Safety Council as the program lead, their funders at NHTSA and AAA, programmers at the Tennessee Tech iCube, and the data analysis people at WestAT. And I come to this from the CPS board side of things, where I chair the data committee. So over these years, I've been lucky to have the opportunity to interact with the NDCF team regularly, and I've learned so much from doing that. And while today's session isn't about convincing people to use the NDCF, I'm going to note that there is so much to gain by doing so. Besides having the data needed when it comes to time to do things like apply for grants or justify your program or job, there's just the fact that participating in collecting digital data means that we're supporting the improvement of child restraints and the way those fit into CARs, as well as just the CPS field in general. But of course, this means that our techs have the new important role of data collectors. And they're going to need some training to learn how to use this form correctly. I mean, I predict that future techs will actually take to the NDCF automatically, just like it seems like our children know how to use computers right from the crib, right? These new techs are going to be using the NDCF from the start. But for those of us who have old habits, we're going to need to learn the new tricks. So some of you may have been following my articles in Safe Ride News, which I've also posted on the Safe Ride News website, about transitioning my own local team to the NDCF. And I've done a bit of my own training for them. But the great news is you don't have to reinvent the wheel for that. Part of the awesome service that the NDCF team provides for us is that we can take advantage of training that they'll give us. And I hope you know that there are always options for training at the CPS board website, where you can just look under the NDCF button at the top and find tools you can use to train your team. And I really utilized those a lot when I was helping my team transition. And you can also have your CPST sign up for those Hold My Clipboard webinars. And I had my techs do that as well. But for your agency, regional, or state conferences, you can also arrange to have a trainer come to you. So that's that NDCF AP that's listed there. And in particular, the lovely and clearly funny Jennifer Bogue is here to help you. And as you can see, she has a very busy schedule, but still plenty of time for your conference, if I can speak for her. And she can handle this virtually as well as in person. And I can say personally, I was very impressed in Idaho last year. I was in attendance at a conference there that they held right before that state transitioned to using the NDCF. And Jennifer held a 3-hour pre-conference for instructors only on one day, basically like an in-depth train the trainer session, and then a 1-hour session for the full group in attendance, all the techs, the following day. And I think that conference really put that state on the right path as they made the shift to all digital. So I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with Jennifer to discuss participation in any upcoming CPS conference. And the great thing is that she can customize the conversation around your needs. So I don't want to make it sound like you have to reach out to her only when you're right at preparing to do a big statewide program-wide transition. Maybe you're still trying to wrap your brain around why it's useful to shift to digital check form in the first place. Or you're on the cusp of starting to dabble in it, or maybe you've transitioned and you're trying to fine tune now how your techs are using it. So any of those scenarios, and really anything else, Jennifer and the NDCF team can provide a top-notch presentation that'll put your techs onto the right path for making the transition to digital. So thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. This is Jim from Wisconsin, and we're here to pump you up about the National Child Passenger Safety Awards. So I'm not sure if I'm hearing a collective moan or a collective, what is he talking about? If you don't know who Hans or Franz is, please go home and ask your parents. Next slide, please. So we just want to promote the fact that, hey, we have this National Child Passenger Safety Award that recognizes an exceptional technician, instructor, and team of the year every year. Winners are announced during Lifesavers. Next slide. And what we look for are following the four pillars that the National Child Passenger Safety Board follows. And so they're leadership, service, professionalism, and inclusivity. Another way to look at it, I found a quote that I thought was excellent to include. Child passenger safety leaders who know the way, go the way, and show the way. And so it's not necessarily technicians or instructors or teams that have been around for 10, 20 years. It could be a new child passenger safety technician who inspires their colleagues and inspires caregivers to buckle up children correctly. Or it could be a master in the field who's been there for a long time. No minimum requirement for how long you've been a child passenger safety advocate. Next slide. So the nomination form surprisingly is easy, and we continue to review it and try to simplify it. There are 6 questions that we ask about your nominee. And to find information out about those, just go to the Child Passenger Safety Board website. On the top, you'll see a link that takes you to CPS Awards. And it's a very simple form to fill out. It shouldn't take much of your time. Surprisingly, we only receive less than 0.1% of nominations looking at the entire field of child passenger safety. So very few nominations were received based on the number of technicians and instructors that are out there. Next slide. So we're here to encourage you and to challenge you as state, territorial, and Indian Health Service CPS coordinators to look at your technicians and advocates in the state and to nominate at least one technician, one instructor, and one team from your state for this year's CPS Awards. And very easy to do. You have until August 31st at 8 p.m. to submit the nominations. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. And thank you for your time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for including me today. This is Tammy Franks, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the resources to support the hybrid offering of the National Child Passenger Safety Technician Certification Training Program. Next slide, please. So whether you've been a state coordinator through all of the curriculum revisions, so you'll see there's been 6 different in-person revisions, or you're a new state or territory coordinator for child passenger safety, hopefully you've heard that we are moving towards offering or having a hybrid offering. Next slide, please. That you will see launching on July 1st. And this offering will be helping to decrease barriers and increase opportunities for students to be able to access the training. It will be delivered via e-learning modules, as well as virtual meetings, and then in-person activities. But taking from the in-person, typical in-person right now is about 3 to 4 days, depending on how you deliver it in your area. And now with the hybrid offering, it will move to approximately 1.5 days or so. Next slide, please. So the board is working hard to create resources for you to help support you as state coordinators or territory coordinators to know, like, which training should we be offering in our area? Should we be offering the in-person, the hybrid? What will work for our audiences? What will work for our instructor teams? So one of the first things that we put together was a hybrid, was an offering comparison chart. And you will find this on a newly developed webpage, cpsboard.org/hybrid. This is printed on, we try to keep it as short as possible, but unfortunately we couldn't keep it to letter size. There are so many categories to compare. So it is on a legal size piece of paper, but you can download it and share this with your instructor teams and also your coordinators from our local areas. If people are trying to decide which course what offering will work for them, whether it should be the in-person or the hybrid offering. This is a evolving document. So as you begin to look at offering hybrid trainings in your area, please let us know if there's a category that you would like us to include that isn't currently included on this form. Next slide, please. For you to get your instructor teams ready, some of the things that you need to do is to encourage your instructor teams to complete the instructor hybrid endorsement training. So that was available on May 9th. We sent out a detailed email to all instructors across the country on April 27th. If you have instructors who did not receive that email, they can contact me at training@cpsboard.org and I'll make certain to forward them a copy of that email. But it had all the information about completing and being able to teach the hybrid offering of the certification training. Additionally, the board will be offering, starting on June 1st, a series of webinars called Ready, Set, Go Hybrid Webinar. And this will have 10 different offerings in the month of June, and we'll continue to offer them in the following months, in July and on. We're not certain of the cadence yet. It will depend on what support the field needs, but we'll make certain to have ample opportunities to support the field. And the reason for those webinars is to help instructors gain familiarity with conducting the virtual component of the hybrid offering. So the most common received or the most commonly received comment has been, I'm interested in doing and delivering the hybrid offering, but I want to see it done first. Well, the only part that really they haven't seen done before is the virtual component. So the board members will be modeling this virtual component so that the instructor teams feel more comfortable. Additionally, in June, there will be resources available in the instructor protected materials on cpsboard.org to help answer questions and provide guidance when scheduling courses and delivering the courses. And those include the hybrid course supplemental guide, as well as from Safe Kids certification, the child passenger safety certification policies and procedures manual. Next slide, please. As you move forward with helping your instructor teams prepare to deliver the hybrid offering, you will see, if you could hit enter one more time, Jess, please. You will see that they will need to have that hybrid instructor endorsement in their certification profile. In order to do that, they must complete the hybrid endorsement training, as I mentioned earlier. And so so you'll need to make certain that that is listed. In order to register a course, you will have all instructors who are on the instructor team must have that hybrid endorsement. Next slide, please. Again, to share, this is the look of the hybrid webpage. We hope that you visit this often for updated information, cpsboard.org/hybrid. In February, we delivered a lengthy CPS coordinator, or a full-length CPS coordinators forum on the hybrid curriculum and what you need to know as the CPS coordinators. And that recording is listed or shared at the bottom of this page, as well as the comparison offering. We'll continue to add resources as they're developed to this page to help support outreach efforts in the states. Next slide, please. If you have any questions, we do have a curriculum feedback form. It's available almost on every page on cpsboard.org. You can select the National Child Passenger Safety Certification Training, and then it pops up and will give you the option to select the hybrid offering, and you can submit your questions. Additionally, next slide, please. You can reach us at this toll-free number. It is staffed weekdays Central Time, approximately 8:30 to 5:30. And then also you can reach me at training@cpsboard.org. I do monitor that email throughout the day, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. One other resource that I'd like to offer to you is that if you would like to set up a a meeting for your instructor teams within your area, specifically to talk about the hybrid training, maybe in a smaller setting, I'm happy to do that and set that up with you. Again, you can use that email, training@cpsboard.org. I can tell you that I've already done that in 2 states, and both of those states are, we've had more instructors from those states begin working on their hybrid endorsement training than anywhere else across the country. So I'm happy to offer that resource as well. Thank you so much. And I will turn over to the next speaker.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry, my microphone was having a moment. So good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to speak today about NHTSA's Heatstroke Assets. My name is Laura Dunn, and I'm the programmatic subject matter expert for child passenger safety. On behalf of Dr. Steve Cliff, NHTSA's deputy administrator, and all of my colleagues at NHTSA, I am really pleased to speak to you.
Is that your popcorn that you bought?
Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. I'm pleased to speak with you today to emphasize really our commitment to ending these preventable tragedies. The first thing that I'd like to share with you today is about our paid heat stroke campaign. This paid advertising runs from April 25th through September 25th. We have elongated this season, both in the spring and in the fall, to bring folks this information longer. This is a national buy with additional media placements in states with the highest incidence of heat stroke. And those states are Texas, Florida, California, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana, Virginia, Alabama, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Ohio, Mississippi, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Illinois. Ads will run on radio, digital, and on social, so I hope that you will be seeing them around. We are also exploring some more custom content opportunities, so you may see some of those assets pushed out later this summer. And the total budget for this campaign is $2.5 million. Next. Next, I wanted to share with you guys some of our assets about heat stroke from traffic safety marketing. This image that you'll see here is part of our social media playbook. So when you go to the heat stroke area on trafficsafetymarketing.gov, this is the first thing that you'll see. It's part of the refresh graphics and is called Not Toys, which is a reference to the gained access issue and the guidance that we give about making sure that children do not play in or around cars and they know that they're not toys. Next. These are 2 more images that I'd like to share with you guys. Both are a nod to the forgotten issue and are both available under that social media playbook. One is called Like an Oven and the other is called Bystander Infant. Very emotional graphics here. Next one. This is a reference to our Spanish language materials. All of these materials are also available in Spanish. This one is titled Bystander Toddler and the social media playbook. Again, it's a direct reference to the gained access issue under heat stroke, which is something that we have not been able to do in the past. And so we are pleased to be able to bring this to everyone. Next. Another thing I wanted to point out are 2 assets under our earned media category, and this would be the fact sheet and the social media earned media messages. So, you know, don't make things harder for yourself. Just go ahead and use our messages if you'd like. Use our images, use our messages, tailor them to your community. That is what they're there for. Next. Key safety messages that we just want to remind everybody about this campaign is one of the biggest risk factors in these cases is a change in routine. And by that, I mean, we see that many deaths have happened because the morning routine was different. A different parent dropped the child off at daycare than normally would. So it's important to kind of drive that message home in your communities. When you're driving, remember to look before you lock. Make sure your child's been dropped off and not left behind. If you want to keep an item in the back seat like a toy and put that toy up in front with you when your child is in their car seat, that's a visual cue to you as a parent or caregiver that that child is still with you in the back seat. And in terms of the, leaving children intentionally in vehicles, never leave your child behind in a car. It's just not worth the risk. We see heat stroke happen in temperatures that are lower Go ahead, next one. One more thing I wanted to point out for you was our heatstroke prevention checklist. And this is a educational tool to share with partners to really kind of take action in their community. And you'll find this at Traffic Safety Marketing under the guides category. Next. We will show this at the end if we have time. This is an example of one of our new digital videos called Fleeting Thoughts. Next. One thing I wanted to point out that came out recently was a new research project conducted by our vehicle safety research team about heatstroke. It's called the Testing of Unattended Child Reminder Systems, and it's an overview of available heatstroke technologies. So you can find that at this link, and they will be releasing some more like easily digestible guides about this research later in the summer. So I'll be sure to share those with you guys. Next. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is a project that I am working on with one of our contractors about procedural countermeasures for preventing pediatric vehicular heat stroke in childcare settings. So this is specific to uncovering best practices and policies among childcare providers for preventing PVH. Nearly half, about 46% of all of those forgotten heat stroke cases, children are on their way to childcare or preschool. So that will close this fall, and a report will be available after, which I will be delighted to share with all of you. Next. That is it for me. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for having me. Next slide, please. So for those that do not know who the MACPS is and what our mission is, it stands for Manufacturers Alliance for Child Passenger Safety. As mentioned by Mandy, I am the car seat manufacturer representative on the board, and I'm also a member of the MACPS. And what we do is we come together and we are here, long story short, for you as technicians. And our mission is to help you with all the tools you need in order to achieve everything you need out in the field to be that resource for you. We are also here for conference support. We have many CEUs that we offer, and there's other cool things about MACPS as well that we're going to be discussing. Next slide, please. So the Manufacturers Alliance for Child Passenger Safety, we bring representatives of car seat and vehicle manufacturer companies together to work cooperatively to support technicians, the community, and ultimately we, if you see us at conferences, it really is kind of one big happy family because we ultimately have that main goal in mind, and that is the safety of children. Next slide, please. So these are all the members of the MACPS. We have car seat manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, as well as some car seat manufacturer component companies as well. All of this is available at Safe Ride News for more information or for contact information specifically too. Next slide, please. So the benefits of the manufacturers attending. So we come and we bring our latest car seats and projects, and we provide those updates firsthand. We also provide up-to-date continuing education, face-to-face interactions with our products, having that face-to-face interaction so questions can be answered, as well as product to use to update your training trailer. So many times, if we are attending a conference, we will leave our product, and many times when we leave it, it is for training purposes, typically. Next slide, please. So these are just some of our current CEUs that we offer. We say they're free because if we're attending the conference, and what happens is our companies pay for us to attend. So our flight, our meals, typically our hotel stays. Generally speaking, our companies pay for all of that. So when we attend, we bring our product, we explain our product, we show our product, and then we have all of these CEUs that we can offer your conference as well. So if we're attending, you might as well take advantage of that, and we can be part of your curriculum or part of your outline for your conference. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, Safe Ride News, thank you so much to Safe Ride News. They house the Manufacturers Alliance for Child Passenger Safety. So here you can see on the left-hand side, we have all the information about who we are. We have harmonized statements that a lot of technicians and instructors reference. We have a calendar of state, regional, and national CPS conferences. So if you're doing any planning moving forward, it's a great resource to go to look at the dates that have already been scheduled and already committed by members of the MACPS. There is a speaker request form. If you would like us to attend your conference, you can fill this out and send it to the Manufacturers Alliance, cps@gmail.com, which is there on the right-hand side, the lower right-hand side. And our membership list, as I mentioned. So lots of information there. Next slide, please. Oh, and then, sorry, I didn't realize there was a fun little arrow thing happening. So I apologize, Mandy. Or Jessica, right? So the other thing too is lastly is the MACPS Hall of Fame, and many members of our community have been inducted into this, and it is people that are currently in the field, some that have retired, as well as some that have passed away. And it's just our way of honoring and recognizing all of those people that have done great things in our industry. So we have the awards ceremony for that as well, and nominations for that are open too. So you can find everything you need on Safe Ride News. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, thank you to Safe Ride News for hosting our website, GAPMA, Safe Kids, and the National Child Passenger Safety Board for their continued support. Here's our information. And remember, inviting us gives you, we can provide free CEUs, exhibit, and have all up-to-date information for you. And I think that's it.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. This is Stephanie with Safe Kids Worldwide. And I am going to talk to you today about the State Farm technical update opportunities that we have. But I also wanted to let you know that if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions about CEU pre-approvals, and I see many of your names on the list that have done that I will be your contact for the CEU pre-approvals, as well as instructor candidate applications and evaluations and the technician proxy applications, and then also the Safe Kids Worldwide webinars. Those are many of the things. There's many others that I do as well, but if you have any questions about any of those things, you can reach out to me. Today, though, I am here to talk to you a little bit about the State Farm technical updates, and Daniella had mentioned MACPS, and we partner very closely with MACPS for many of these technical updates and going to the locations and being there as a resource for certification. So on this slide, you see I just put a couple of screenshots here of what the application looks like. It is a very simple application. We do offer in 2022, we have not gone yet into our meetings with State Farm for 2023, exactly what's going to be offered. But in 2022, we were offering 12 total updates throughout the nation. 6 of those this year were going to be in person and 6 virtual. The virtual I will be putting together here within the next month and choosing those states that we can reach technicians and instructors in those states, maybe that are not able to go to in-person sessions. And along with, as you see there, along with this application and this resource comes a $400 grant that can be used for the things that you see on the slide there. The only thing that $400 cannot be used for is incentives for the technicians. So things like t-shirts and any kind of incentive like that. And it is not specific just or restricted just to Safe Kids coalitions. This can be any organization or agency that is interested in holding an update in their community. Next slide. So some of the things that you would see on the application, that would be the instructor or the person who is putting this update together. Some of those responsibilities, as you see there, would be serving as the contact, participating in the technical update, localizing the presentations, and that's where a lot of the MACPS CEU opportunities would come up, that you could apply for them to come to put together your CEU session. We do ask, and State Farm does look for a minimum of 40 technicians to be in attendance, and a way to have that certificate of attendance. And again, I would be able to help with the CEU pre-approval for your session to make sure that they are approved for CEUs. And then the other logistical things that you see there as well for the update. Next slide. A couple of the other things would be that that person who's administering the update would be the specialist on developing the update itself, collecting and providing the summary, contacting the CPS coordinator, the state coordinator, which I can very much help with that as well. And then just sending out that letter, thank you letter, and the summary of the event itself. And there is my information, my email, as well as my phone number on the application, that I am there to assist in whatever way I can. Next slide. Something that State Farm does ask for and does require for their update is that we would have a State Farm local representative come give just a 2 to 3 minute greeting at the update, be there to have that representation of State Farm. And the way that that works is that once we come to an agreement of the application, then I send out the time, location, date of the event to State Farm Regional. They select the State Farm agent in that area, send me back their name and contact information, and then I send that to the coordinator of the event to reach out to that State Farm representative to put together the logistics of when they should be there. So that is part of the application. Next slide. And then what will happen is within 2 weeks, I will get back to the applicant. And as you can see there, again, the check for the $400 comes from Children's National Medical Center, and a W-9 is required to accompany the application as well. Next slide. And then lastly, an evaluation always comes after an event, and it is a very simple evaluation where we ask for an event summary. So basically the numbers, any comments from the participants, the budget, what that $400 was used for, the partnerships that were included with that event, and if there was any media that came along with it. So that is just a quick summary of the State Farm application. And if you are interested, again, my email is SHEITSCH@safekids.org, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Janna Day from the state of Iowa. And I know just for the sake of time that I need to go kind of fast. So I'll try to zoom right through this. Next slide, please. So even though I don't have Hans and Franz here on the first slide like Jim had, I am still really hoping to pump you up. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Iowa Child Passenger Safety Technician update, and specifically how we had our hands-on room this year. So in Iowa, just to give you an idea of our technicians, we have about 400 technicians in Iowa and 18 instructors. We had about 200 attendees at this year's in-person conference, which was really exciting after 2 years of virtual conferences. And during that one-day conference, we had 16 breakout sessions, 3 plenaries, and we were able to offer 7 CEUs, and then also various community education. So next slide. This is a picture of what the hands-on room looks like, and you can see all the technicians in there working diligently. So what we did was we designed a room at our conference that was dedicated to different restraints. And we set up 11 different stations. Each station was had a seat that was specific to it. And as a work group, when we were planning this conference, we thought, you know, we don't want everything to be new technology. One of the complaints we get often on our conference evaluations is that the seats we're showing are things that technicians in rural areas of our state don't see very often. So we did kind of a mixture of new technology and seats with interesting features, but then we also had some of the more common seats that we see in our state and some uncommon seats. And so we specified one breakout room during the conference, and we set these tables up along the perimeter of the room. And there were 4 different sessions that you could go in this room. It was staffed by 2 child passenger safety instructors per session. We created a passport, and we made this a work at your own pace. Next slide, please. This is an example of the hands-on passport that we developed, and it's just kind of a screenshot of the top of the first page. You can see a couple of the car seats that we selected. Like I said, we had 11 different stations, and it really varied. And then what we did as a work group prior to the conference as well is after we identified the car seats that we were going to have on hand for these students to look at, we identified some interesting features about the seat or things that we wanted the technicians to have to look up. And the instructions for then the hands-on room would be that the technicians had to complete questions for at least 4 different seats or 4 of the different stations. And after they completed those, they brought the passport over to an instructor. The instructor checked over their questions and answers and then provided them a stamp, as well as 1 CEU. And the reason we decided on 4 different seats or stations is because that gave technicians about 12 minutes each. And we felt like that was enough time for them to get into the manual and find the information that we needed from them for each of the stations. Next slide. I did want to throw in a couple of other miscellaneous pieces that I thought would be important when we were talking about this. This was approved for 1 CPS CEU, which was really important, of course, for the technicians who spent their time in that room. We had this room open during 4 breakout sessions. So essentially it was open almost all day, or not all day, but a lot of the day of the conference. Technicians were also told at the beginning of the conference that they could go in there during any break time, during lunch. If they wanted to do extra seats, they certainly could. We just wanted them to know that they could check that stuff out anytime they wanted to. Important thing to note is nothing included actual installations. This was just specifically, we wanted students to look in those manuals and find the information we were asking. So we did provide multiple copies of each seat manual. Of course, that was important. And thank you to some of the manufacturers who did send us demo seats. So UPPAbaby and Ride Safer both sent us some stuff, and that was wonderful. So thank you to those guys. And again, I explained the concept to all of the attendees in pre-conference emails, as well as when we opened the conference that day. So really, I didn't have many confused attendees. Everybody felt pretty good going into that room and knew exactly what they needed to do. Next slide. Lessons learned. Technicians loved it. The evaluations were wonderful. The technicians who attended the conference want to see it repeated. They absolutely love the idea of having this hands-on room, that they had time to actually be with these car seats, get their hands on them. They weren't stressed out about having to learn how to maybe install them and learn about them all at the same time. It was really a well-received session, and it's something that we will continue to do. But I say all of that with the caveat that, of course, I always still would love the manufacturers to attend anytime possible. but the manufacturers are so busy. All of the states trying to host conferences, their manufacturers are traveling everywhere. So even though, yes, I would say in good, better, best, of course, we want the manufacturers there. But when that is not possible, we have found that this type of hands-on room is a good alternative. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Janna. And I want to thank all of our speakers today. I know that each one of us could talk forever on our topics. So thank you for keeping it so short and succinct. Does anybody have any questions? I'll let you go ahead and put those in the chat box. And just keep in mind too, if you'd like information about how to contact any of the speakers that have been with us today, just reach out. We'll make sure that you get their contact information. We covered quite a bit of material today in a really short amount of time. Okay, well, while you're thinking of your questions, Jessica, can you go to the next slide? I want to throw out a couple of things for you. We are going to have some open membership positions on the National Child Passenger Safety Board. The Child Passenger Safety Advocate, At-Risk Underserved Populations, Child Passenger Safety Advocate, and Vehicle Manufacturer Representative. For more information on how to apply, and the application period is May 31st through September 30th, visit cpsboard.org/board-member. And I think I read that wrong. cpsboard.org/board-membership. I think struggling with my words a little bit today. We hope that you will consider joining us. Many of the speakers today are on the board, and I think it's just the most amazing group that is here to serve you and help you out. I'd also like to talk to you about the webinars that are coming up. If you'll take a look, we have some really exciting webinars. Make sure that you pre-register. It's really important. These fill up pretty quickly, but this is a great opportunity to get your online CEUs and a little bit of community education as well. So Jennifer Bogue threw a comment in the chat bar. She said, data collected in the National Digital Check Form can help coordinators know which seats they see most common in their state or counties for conference use. So this information that we're providing should be really useful to you. So please, let us know what you are looking for or asking about. Jessica, could you go one more slide for me, please? So Hans and Franz aren't here. Jim, your presentation was a lot of fun. Thank you for doing that. We want to take just a quick minute to acknowledge our 2022 National CPS Award winners, Marilyn Morris, Jackie Stackhouse, and the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community CPS team. And please take a minute. We would love to see an applicant for every state. And I'm guessing that each one of you on this call knows a technician, an instructor, or a team that has done great work in your state. There's only 6 questions. It'll take you about 10 or 15 minutes to do the application. Super easy. So please acknowledge the efforts of those that are working in your state. Jim wants to make sure that you all know that Hans and Franz love the National Digital Check Form. And Erica, thank you so much for your kind words about enjoying today. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, it was just a quick paced amount of information. So we do have 2 more upcoming CPS Coordinators Forum, June and July. In June, we're going to be talking about building healthcare provider awareness of child passenger safety. And July, we're going to work on Child Passenger Safety Week planning. And I want to remind you that this is for you. If there are topics that you would like to cover, or if there's something that you've done in your state that's pretty amazing, like Janna did, we'd love to hear from you. We want to provide information that is useful and that can help you be successful in your state. So contact secretariat@cpsboard.org for suggestions, questions, if you want to contact any of the speakers today. And I'm going to go back and check the chat bar, see if we have any questions. Nothing so far. I think that we all talked extra fast today to make sure that we could get all of this information included. But I do want to thank all of you for being here today. I know that each one of us is getting a little bit busier as the summer is coming up and we're having more events and more classes. Kelly Sizemore, thanks so much. You love the pace. Yep, it was a lot of information, but again, something that we can all use in our state. So I'm actually gonna turn you back over and have an extra 10 minutes in your day, and we'll go ahead and end the recording, but those of us that spoke today